Lisbon is a beautiful city by the water with amazing food, pastry, and art, and an African history. Hundreds of years ago, in this very city, African slaves were first brought here to Europe. Meet Naki, the activist and tour guide, who, after noticing the lack of opportunity to learn about this subject, decided to offer tours in the city of Lisbon in order to educate and to keep the history alive. I'm here in Lisbon with my friend by the name of Naki, who's a tour guide here in Lisbon, and he focuses on African history out here in Portugal. So people meet my friend Naki. So how you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good. So tell me, how long have you been living here in Portugal?
I'm living in Portugal for 8 years now.
8 years?
Yes, 8 years.
Okay.
I moved from Germany where I was living for a
nice.
few years.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to change and to have a new vibe.
Yeah.
So that's why we came to Portugal.
How do you like it so far?
It's a nice country, really beautiful, with a lot of story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What prompted you to start these tours?
I started tour because I moved to a country where I was really impressed of the black population.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, black people are whitewashed here and they don't know a lot of their own history. Right?
Yes.
And the Portuguese history really romanticized, and black people buy it. They bought it. So I was not happy see how black people history is being taught in the school here.
Mm-hmm.
On the streets of Lisbon and Porto, you can see a population that is racially diverse. But take a walk through a Portuguese newsroom and the opposite is true. That might help explain how race gets covered and how racism gets denied.
And I started actually just to make research and try to learn and know more about a country, because when you move to a country, you really need to know the country. You really need to know the people. You really need to know their history so that you can move easily. Yeah, so that's why I started just compiling information just for myself. And when you're also visiting a country, usually we take tours. We try to join some tour groups. I did the same, and because I want to learn from the tour guides who are in the country. But unfortunately, the story or the history is completely whitewashed. So they don't talk about what they did in Africa. Yeah. So that's why I decided to create my own tour and offer a new perspective in the city. Yeah.
And you're originally from Togo.
Yeah.
So you speak French, most of it.
Well, I have a serious problem regarding languages. I mean, European languages. I'm from Togo, and I have my local language. Yeah, I'm Ewe. I'm from the Ewe tribe, and I have my language. And in my country, I have like almost 42 languages. So I prefer saying that I speak languages of my country than saying that I speak foreign languages.
Okay.
Because whatever you do, and from my experience, whatever you do, I mean, you can make the effort ever in your life to communicate, to speak a language that's not yours, but people will always remind you that, yeah, man, you speak, but there is something missing. You don't have an accent, you make some mistakes. So honestly, I stopped using the word speak. I speak those languages. No, I understand. I can have a communication. I don't claim them. I'm not from their country, and I will never feel like there.
Right.
French was a colonial language in Togo. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was educated in French language. I studied in French language. I worked in French language. I would say it's my second or third language. But the day I stopped saying that I speak it, I understand. I can have a conversation with someone.
Okay, makes sense. I understand that. So I'm gonna mention some of the things that we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
So that shocked me personally that I didn't know. When you talk about the slave trade and the fact that slaves were actually brought here originally and worked here, that's something that I think most people don't know. Because when you think of the triangular trade, you think of Africa, Europeans going to Africa, picking up, humans and then taking them in America to sell them. But I think one part that's missing in the conversation is how they were actually moving slaves from Africa to Europe first, originally.
Yeah, yeah.
Bringing them here. This is the first port of entry of slavery.
Exactly, yeah.
But yet, when you walk around the city, I didn't see a single sign or statue. You almost don't even think about it. It's like it never happened.
Yeah, I think this is something most European cities are trying, or most European countries are trying to erase. Yeah, the narrative that's been given for a long time is that enslaved people were in the colonies, they were in the Caribbean, they were in America or whatever. But for real, enslaved people, the very first one came to Europe. And Portugal was the country. Yeah, was the kingdom back then. Yeah, so the port of entry, or the very first ancestors that were kidnapped on the coast of Africa was Portugal. Yeah, so it's just like a way to keep slavery or the practice somewhere else than in Europe, you know, and to let people avoid thinking that European cities were also built by black people. Yeah, European cities were built on the blood of some black people.
Yes.
Yeah? So this is the narrative, but guys, don't buy that. There were a lot of enslaving in Portugal. Until the abolishment, there were still enslaved people here in the 19th century. So, yeah, it's a narrative that is not possible to
ignore,
to accept. Yeah.
To continue in this conversation here, you are from Togo, and are you in the path to citizenship here? What's going on when an immigrant wants to become a Portuguese citizen?
Yeah, this is a long way. To become citizen in Portugal, you need to be legally here for at least 6 years.
At least 6 years.
Yes, and then you can apply for it. But to be honest, me myself, I'm really lazy doing this thing. Since I have the opportunity to live legally, having like a document, I have a residence card that allows me to move around and do my activities, meet people. I think I'm quite enough. It's quite enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, being in the process of the citizenship, I don't think about it.
Yeah. What prompted me with this question is the fact that yesterday we talked about the census, and you indicated that they still don't count blacks when they do the census.
Yes. Yes. The Portuguese government doesn't want to count black people. They don't want to include black in the census, and the reason is that this is going to create more discrimination. But discrimination is something that already exists in this country, and I think the right thing to do is to try to find a solution. And one of the solutions is to include blacks in their census, but they're avoiding that. So if I'm even Portuguese, I'm not going to be.
You're never going to be counted.
Yeah, I'm not going to be included. Yeah, what am I going to be? I will be just a number.
Yeah.
Yeah, a number of people in the country, but how are you going to well, who I am? Yeah, I'm just part of the 10 million people. That's it. No. So yeah, I think it's important to get back to that because our representativity is important. In the country.
Yeah. So no, till today they don't want to count, blacks. Is it just blacks or just all minorities? Asians counted?
Asians, yeah. I mean, everyone. It's all about the ethnicity, all about color. So Asian also are not counted.
So Asians are counted?
They are not. They are not counted. Yeah.
So they only count whites.
The only one, actually.
Guys, sorry, the planes out here are just like flying. Oh man. Anyways, yes.
No, they just want people to think that they are Portuguese. They're part of the Portuguese society, and that's all.
Interesting. Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, how is Portugal when it comes to race relations? Because this is rated as one of the best places to retire. So, and I think the prices here are fairly affordable compared to, England and France, places like that. How is your experience like?
Yeah, I think we see only the cover, but we don't see the intern of the thing. The cover is how beautiful Portugal is, how easy it is to buy a property here. As you say, that the prices are quite fair here compared to other countries. That's the cover. But how many black people are really able to buy properties in Portugal? Yeah. How many Afro-Portuguese are able to buy properties in Portugal? It's difficult because the minimum wage first is lower for everyone. Yeah, people don't earn a lot of money here, but at the same time, since black people are really marginalized and they suffer racism from their birth, it's difficult for them like to have a standard in the society that allow them now
Right.
to be property owners.
Right.
So racism in Portugal is really institutional. So where from your background, I mean from your birth already, you have less chance to have a kind of equity, a kind of to have equal rights, equal chance, I would say, equal chance like other white Portuguese.
Yeah.
But everything from the base for black people is bad from the base. So now growing, since you have the base was not well prepared, so you don't have those chances.
Yeah.
Yeah, but of course Portugal is good, and I would say it's good for rich Portuguese, some other rich people, and foreigners. Yeah.
Now, this notion of black Afro-Portuguese is something that's new to me as well. Like we discussed, African slaves were brought here in the 15th century or so.
Yeah.
Some of them stayed here and died here. And, there is some blacks who've been here, their family blood has been in the country for over 300, 400 years. But where are they? Where are the Afro-Portuguese? I see articles, I see some of them, but where are they? It seems like everybody here is mostly African.
You have Afro-Portuguese, those who say that they have the Portuguese citizenship, right? But as you say, you have a lot of African. Even those who are called Afro-Portuguese are seen just as African. Yeah, they can have the citizenship, they can have a passport, but you're still black. You mentioned those who are probably like here for 300 years. Unfortunately, it's very hard to prove, because officially, most of black people you saw in Lisbon and now you see the whole country are migrants, are descendants of migrants. So when in the Portuguese former colonies, they started to migrate to Portugal from the 60s. So they are descendants of those people. But now, if we go back to the 15th century through those enslaved people who were brought here, it's very difficult to say that they are descendants of those enslaved people. Yeah, that's the official discourse. The term Afro-Portuguese is new, of course. It's new because actually in Europe, even it's something new. Because black people were not really accepted in the European society for a long time. So now, those who are born here, and no matter the situation they are experiencing, they want to claim themselves like part of the countries. That's why they start calling themselves Afro-European. So Afro-French, Afro-Portuguese. So these are new terms. This is a new generation that want to be accepted and included in the European society. Yeah? Because at the end of the day, they don't know other countries than the country where they were born. Although they are not accepted in the countries where they are born, so those European countries, they have to fight for it. So they need to do everything so that the people who don't like them in those countries accept that they are from the country. So that's why Afro-Portuguese, Afro-French, Afro-British are trying to claim their space in Europe. Yeah, so the term in Portugal, Afro-Portuguese, is of course new, because now I think a lot of those brothers and sisters figure out that, okay, in the end, actually, I'm probably not even accepted in my parent country because I'm born in Europe and I have to take my space here.
So much more to discuss, but this is it for our conversation with Naki. If you want to learn more, please reach out to him on Instagram. And if you are in Lisbon, make sure you book one of his tours and you will be glad that you did. Besides tours, he also organizes the best African parties in Lisbon. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please kindly subscribe, press that like button, and I will see you on the next video.